Well, ladies and gentlemen, after months of preparation and gathering and things of that nature, we did it. We took her from Ashy to Classy. Go on, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy MikeOfAllTrades. Welcome to the channel. And today, I'm pretty much just unveiling to everyone my first project cabinet. Yeah. So for those who missed the backstory, I bought this Dynamo from Nick Madsen, Nickstology. You know, he picked it up for the boy, and I didn't know what to do with it. I thought about it. I bounced ideas off of him, and he bounced something back. And some of these things went from putting in a Mr. K to, you know, maybe just putting in a pie or something like that. Random conversations. But ultimately, I decided that I kind of wanted to keep it stock. Like, not stock, but like keep it as one dedicated cabinet, you know. I have multi-cabs, you know, my Vuelix it acts like a multi-cab on its own. But I wanted to keep this sexy. So the idea was to pick something that this could be based around. Well, it just so happened that this came with the Marvel Superheroes Marquee. And I think it was just it was fate at that point, just to turn this into a Marvel superhero. So here is my Marvel Superheroes cabinet. She's clean, right? Yeah, she's hella clean for all the stuff that I've done with it and everything I've done. Dude, listen, I am over the moon. I am genuinely happy. But let's talk about it. So this cabinet right here used to be a Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. When this was picked up from the seller, it had a Pandora Box 5 in it. Again, all this stuff was covered in the previous video. If you want to watch it, go check it out there. But the Marquee is what determined it. And it was so pristine. It was clean. So I ordered some plexiglass sandwiches in between, so that between two slices, so that it wouldn't, like, you know, wither down, or it wouldn't floppy, you know, get all floppy and stuff. So that's the Marquee. That's all taken care of. Further evidence that this used to be a Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition was the bezel. The other side of the bezel had Champion Edition artwork on it. And so, for those who don't know, Marvel Superheroes is one of the kit games where you pick it up, or arcade owners used to pick it up and then they would swap it in. So what the owners did before, because this used to be in like lacrosse or something, I don't know how it got to Minnesota, but on the other side of it, it was just all black with the old arcade that it was listed in, and that was the bezel. I decided to keep that bezel for the time being, right? Because I didn't want to theme it after anything, because I'll explain, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to really theme it and make it just a super dedicated Marvel Superheroes cabinet, but I wanted that to be the inspiration. If you're theming around Marvel Superheroes, it literally just has to be Marvel Superheroes. So yeah, I didn't want to go that route, but we'll get to the other stuff. The CRT did come in and was functioning. In my area, there are not a lot of people who can service CRTs, but it functioned. But for the long run, I just decided, you know, after watching a couple, like 10 videos, that I would test my luck with the 26-inch Unico Phoenix monitor. And I'm assuming I got the new version because it had the little knobs in the back. But apparently they also listened to community feedback, and they added a control panel with a ribbon strip. So that was cool. After about 20 minutes of getting it dialed in and resetting it twice, I got it to where I wanted it to be. So that's why if you look at it, it looks a little recessed, because it's not taking up all that space from the CRT. And that's fine. You know, I'm completely fine with the recessed look of the cabinet, of the screen. and it's really sharp. You know, it is a really sharp cabinet, not cabinet, but a monitor, and it does what I need to do for this game. So I'm okay with that. The sticks and buttons and this cabinet, when I got it, they were rusted, they were dusty, they got thrown in the trash ASAP, and they had to get replaced. So I swapped them out with HAP competition sticks and buttons, and surprisingly, you know, I didn't want to go like, oh well, let's put Samuel here. No, I wanted to keep it as close as possible. I thought about ILs, but I thought that was maybe it was doing the most for ILs. So I figured all Suzo HAP, all works. Put the 8-way gate in it, the restrictor, you know, the little square gimmick, and yeah, it's been great. And I did go with the Marvel Superheroes lineup of color buttons. The buttons are blue, yellow, and red. And I know so because it was in this. By the way, I got this cabinet and Nick must not have either didn't see it or he didn't tell me about it. But this was already in there. And I didn't know until I started digging into it. Like, this was in here. There were stickers and buttons for Championship Edition. Yeah, stuff you find when you start digging the cabinet. Funny enough, I ordered one from eBay because I wanted to have it and you know, make sure it was all good and whatever else. And you know, this thing is just, it literally, this guy literally tells you everything, what color the button should be, and it helps you get through the menus and everything else. So, which that will be vital in the future of this thing. But yeah, so red, yellow, and blue, or blue, yellow, and red, same order, right? And yeah, they're great. They're absolutely great. Can't complain about it at all. I will, however, complain about the control panel. So you can tell, and I don't know if anybody saw my short, but you can tell that this thing has been through some things. Somebody laid a CE low overlay on top of another CE overlay on top of another overlay. So a lot of the time went to the control panel. You know, when you watch it in like a video from like Time Rift Arcade or Electric Starship or anybody who's, you know, restoring a cabinet, you're like, it doesn't really take that long. I kid you not. Getting the glue off, getting the rest of that stuff off, priming, sanding down the rust, getting it to a point where I can lay a new overlay and decals on it. Literally took like 6 hours. I'm not even joking. Thankfully, I bought a heat gun, I had a scraper, I bought all kinds of stuff and was able to get it off, but it was insane. Now, speaking of the control panel, had to get new sticks and buttons of that, new micro switches. I went with the diamond plating that you see on like X-Men versus Street Fighter and Marvel versus Capcom, depending on where you live, depending where you grew up, depending on what your arcade put in. And I went with that because it's a good point for a lot of the versus games. So eventually, when like I have a X-Men versus Street Fighter coming, eventually if I want to, I can get an Naomi kit and make it Marvel versus Capcom 2. That's the goal. Listen, that's the end game right there. But it's just clean. It's classic. You know, it's classic. And I got the overlay, the decals, and the side art. I got it all from DB Graphics off of eBay. I looked at other sites, Game On Graphics and things of that nature, right? But look, they be out here taxing, and DB Graphics was willing to work. DB Graphics worked with me and let me size it to the size that I wanted to size it. Like they had it listed for like, they had the side art listed like 12 by 16, and arcade accurate was like 17 by like 23 and a half, I believe. So I went with them. Cut to be a good deal. They're really nice. And yeah, that's how we dealt with all of that. You know, the T molding, it was black. You know, originally I thought I was like, well, I'm gonna change the T molding, which I did. But originally I was like, I'm gonna do it orange. But then it wouldn't have fit the color scheme of the buttons, so I figured, let's give it a little pop. You know, let's make it stand out a little bit. And that yellow T molding, it just hit, man. It looked so good. The side art, like I said before, we got it from DB Graphics off eBay. They custom ordered the size, and it wasn't super expensive, and it came out really well. You know, at first I was like, I'm gonna reskin this like an arcade one up and make the whole thing, the whole side vinyl. But in all reality, you never saw them like that. I never saw them like that. Again, they're kit games, so it was something that I was like, well, I want to keep that spirit, you know. So we got the side art. That was a thing that was actually, you know, it wasn't like bad. That was probably the easiest thing in the world to put on, honestly. Speaking of the side, I didn't think the paint job was too egregious to where I needed to go over it again. You know, it's gonna be kept in my house. If I wanted to just like turn this thing like pristine, I would have done that. But I wanted the paint to be the paint that it is right now. It's still black on the sides, and there's a couple of nicks and whatever else. But I wanted to feel like it's been through some things. Does that make sense? You know, like I didn't want it to feel like a super brand new cabinet, even though, you know, the heart and stuff might be new, you know, with the brains. Speaking of the brains, this is running a Japanese Marvel Superhero CPS2 board. Yeah, Japanese, baby. So when I said earlier that I needed this, I literally needed this because I don't know if y'all know, but I don't read Japanese. I can't speak Japanese. I watch a lot of anime, but I can't speak it. I know what Dr. Bio means, but yeah. So this right here literally let me go in here, open up the test menu, let me get the board set up. More importantly, it helped me to wire up the JAMA harness. Okay, which between that and the geekpub.com and looking at their JAMA layout, yeah, it helped a lot. Which, if you're going to get into this and you want to do CPS2 games or any games that require more than 4 buttons, you're going to need to order kick harness, which I did order. However, kick harness had to be spliced, and thankfully I had an extra wiring kit laying around with actual ends that would stick on the micro switches because they were too narrow. But hey, you know, whatever. I ordered in my own ignorance. I'm gonna say it's ignorance or whatever else, right? But I ordered a 9-foot JAMA harness from eBay because I knew the one that was in before was shot, so that had to get gutted, had to get replaced. Ordered a 9-foot JAMA harness, and it gave me a little too much wire, but it's all zip tied up, and we act like we were building a PC, you know, and yeah, the wiring was really cool. But again, the brains is Japanese. Everything's the same. It's just the dialogue when you have the wind screens, whatever else. That's the only thing that's different. It's literally just victory screen dialogue. That's all you really miss. Again, in the spirit of keeping it original, I left on the Coca-Cola bottle opener / beer opener. Yeah, I left it on. And I didn't think I would actually need one until a couple weeks ago, where I ordered from this new Mexican place in my neighborhood, and I bought Mexican Coke, and I twisted it, and it just kept twisting, and it kept twisting, and did not want to come off. And since my thumb is not Mjolnir, it's not the hammer, I had to like push it off with a bottle opener. So yeah, I kept that, you know what I mean? But other than that, you know, I'd say let's look at some gameplay. Let's see some buttons get pressed, and we'll come back. God dang, girl. God dang, girl. Ugh, disrespectful. So, you've seen the cabinet. You've seen me press buttons. I gotta say, man, I usually don't like pat myself on the back or whatever, but I'm genuinely proud, you know. And shout out to everybody that I bothered while I was doing this. For those who responded, you know what I mean. Like, shout out to y'all. I appreciate you. I've never done anything like this. Some of the stuff I ordered I didn't need. For instance, did you know that if you try to get Q sound, if your system is not set up for Q sound, you can't get it? So wasted AV cables on that, or audio cables, wasted on that. And then I watched a couple videos like Mike's arcade monitor hardware. I think that's the channel name. And I watched like OTGs, and they had like these CGA or EGA to VGA panel pass-throughs or converters. I ordered that. I didn't need it. Thankfully, I was able to just plug it in the back, and it was weird. It was like the monitor. It's either the monitor or the board. One of the two had to warm up, because at first, like you see earlier footage of it, it was just It was bad, no matter how much I tried to dial it in. But now it's pristine. So it was just kind of weird. And that could be just because the board sat for so long and maybe wasn't put in use. I don't know. I want to give a special shout out and a thank you to my dude Nick Phoenix, EDG, my light skinned brother from another mother, because he loves arcades as much as I do, and he did help me with some of the stuff late Saturday night. Like it just so happened he was coming up to town, so he slid through and helped me out with some stuff as well. So shout out to him, man. He does racing content and stuff. I don't even know last time he made a freaking YouTube video, but I'll link it in the description just in case. You know what I mean? But I'm happy with it. And I think the most important thing to take from this is I've never worked on arcade cabinets before. The most I've ever done is mess with fight sticks. Okay? So if you're intimidated by messing with a real cabinet, don't be. There are so many people that are willing to help you, that will encourage you, that will give you advice on what you're working on. There are so many people that are just willing, lead you in the right direction. I remember a couple years ago, and this was on Twitter, and I posted a golden tea cabinet because I wanted to buy that as a cabinet. Retro Ralph and Rexer actually were like, don't buy this. It's not good, not for the price point, blah, blah, yakety smackety. But I was also told, Ralph told me, and Nick told me, once you buy your first real cabinet, you're going to start looking at the other ones kind of funny, and you're going to start looking at them like they're out of place. I got X-Men. I got my Vuelix, but I didn't count Vuelix because Vuelix was sit down, Japanese. It was custom. It was mine. That was my wet dream. It still is my wet dream. When I got my X-Men from Nick, I was like, it's starting not to look the same, especially for the price I paid. I paid some good money for it, whatever else, right? And now that I've gotten my Dynamo, it's just, and ready to go, it's just like, I understand what they mean now. I mean, I do. Will I still get a 3/4 scale arcade or something like that? If it's something that interests me, something that's gonna, tingle, yeah, of course. But for now, I gotta say, man, I've been bitten, and I'm loving this real arcade life. Next on my bucket list of cabinets to get is a Play Choice 10. Play Choice 10, candy cap, and then like Thanos, I can sit down and rest and watch the sunrise on a grateful universe. Unless that basic form WrestleFest is really dope, then I'm gonna need all parts of that. Or I could just buy a WrestleFest board and put it in the last slot in my JAMA switcher. Decisions. But hey, remember that CRT that I mentioned? I got plans for that. Thank y'all for watching. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, and catch you on the next one. Deuces, ooses. Oh, and the CRT, right?